Right, so hello Siddharth, I'm Pratyaksha. I'm a therapist from the mood space, and as you might have given this brief that we are doing this particular segment, especially on November, because November 19th is International Men's Day, and we want to just take some dedicated time to focus on conversations around men's mental health specifically, because while in the last few years the conversation has gotten a little more active, I still feel we have a long way to go, especially with so many stereotypical notions around mental health, right? Around men not being that emotional, men not needing support as much as others do, strong men not crying. All of these notions sort of become a barrier to men asking for support, seeking help, or just simply talking about their mental health as well. So
Yeah,
we just wanted to have these conversations directly with a couple of people just to get their understanding of what mental well-being is for them, how they take care of themselves, and especially in the context of workplace as well, right? Like being a founder, there's a lot of responsibilities that you are shouldering. So how that is navigated in your personal life and your professional life as well. Right. So that's basically what we're going to speak about. And we would love to hear from you what your idea of mental well-being is. And of course, there'll be more specific questions following that. So yes, we have Siddharth with us, who is the co-founder of Blackcab. And I want to know from you, Siddharth, before we jump into the conversation of more specific questions, that even when I say mental health or mental well-being, what comes to your mind? Like, what does this word remind you of? What's your understanding of it?
okay. So, firstly, hi, and thank you for that introduction. So, honestly, mental health is something that is very close to me, is because for the longest time I didn't understand it. Right, coming like exactly you said in the beginning that there's a very sort of strong notion behind, like, men not feeling pain and strong men not crying. Um, Fortunately, unfortunately, I did grow up in a house like where these things were sort of quite explicit. Like, you're a guy, and I think it's just Indian culture. When someone cries, is like ladki ho kya. I mean, it's just like a common thing to which I know that it's reduced in recent times, but if you're a 90s kid, you must know how relevant this was back in the day. So yeah, mental health, like I said, I didn't understand it for the longest time, but then my life got to a point where if I didn't understand it, to for me to grow as a professional and personally was just impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I take mental health as in highest of the regards. It's the most important thing. And this is after going through a physical transformation as well. I was a fat kid, so I understand the importance of being physically fit as well. But ultimately, if you are not doing well mentally, it doesn't matter what kind of shape you are in. It's just very hard to function.
For sure. Yeah. And thanks a lot for that, Siddharth, because I feel it takes a lot to also admit that for the longest you didn't know what mental health was, and with no fault of ours, because we are not really taught. So there's a lot of learning that we have to do on our own as adults. So thanks a lot for sharing that. And you spoke about the physical health aspect of it, and I feel both of them are also tied to a huge extent, like, and it goes both ways. Like you said, that if you're not feeling mentally okay, no matter where you are physically, it might not make sense, and vice versa, right? If you're mentally
Yeah,
feeling okay, if you're not taking care of your body, that also impacts your health, right?
yeah.
So at this point where you have started maybe talking about mental health, or maybe just acknowledging it within yourself, what does it look like when you are doing mentally well? Like, how do you recognize that, okay, your mental well-being may be like a little disbalanced at the moment, or right now you're doing good? What helps you identify that in your life?
Okay. So for me, one thing that is of extreme importance when I'm evaluating my mental health is where am I when it comes to my focus, um,
Mm-hmm.
and how clear are my thoughts. Being an entrepreneur, it's very important to be focused and not lose your way. And especially, I mean, I'll take the liberty of saying this, that by God's grace, the company has grown, and it's very easy to like get distracted, not only by the success of what your company is doing, but also there are external forces that come into picture when your company starts growing, and that's something that can take an impact on your mental well-being, because you start thinking about things differently. and you lose focus. And the journey has just begun. When you start a startup, 5 years is a very very small amount of time to say
Mm.
that, oh, you have made a difference or made a mark in the industry that you're operating in. So for me, it's that focus, my clarity of thought. If I start losing that, I know that there's something going wrong. Either I'm overworked, either there's some suppressed thoughts in my head that I'm not processing. There are certain emotions that I'm not able to resolve,
Yeah.
because of which I'm losing this clarity. So yeah,
Mm.
that's a very big indicator for me that, okay, now it's time to just maybe take a back seat and evaluate what's happening, what's going wrong. What is it that you're trying to sort of one thing I've realized is that a lot of time when people are going through some sort of mental imbalance, when it comes to your emotions and everything, you tend to mask everything by saying, I have a lot of work,
Yeah.
I have like too much on my plate. But sometimes it's clearing your plate is what will actually make you address what is actually causing you to say that, because no one in life is ever that busy that you can't take out time for certain important things,
Yeah.
be
Mm.
that your friends, be that your family,
Mm.
or be that certain task that you're not able to complete. And if you're not able to complete that, you need to
Mm.
just sit back and think about what is hampering you from completing that task.
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that I would like to add, like to say on that front, that it's very important to understand uh, where are you standing personally,
Mm.
and do you need that break? Just take it. uh,
Yeah.
there is nothing wrong in taking a week off from work and just recollecting your thoughts, centering your
Mm.
thoughts,
Yeah.
um, centering yourself, and then getting back to work with a refreshed mind, with a
Mm.
fresh approach, because then your brain starts working in that direction much better. So yeah, I think that is something that is very important.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I feel it's great that you're bringing this up because there's so many of us, right? Like work takes up so much of our space in our life, right? Like if we were to make a pie chart of our life, work is more than 50% of it. And since we are talking about men's mental health, I would feel for men even more so because of the conditioning that they have to dedicate like a major chunk of their life to provide or to work or to be great professionally. That pressure that comes with it. So a lot of us still struggle with the guilt that comes with taking a break, right? Like we know that our body needs it. We know that our body is screaming for it, right? Like we may be feeling exhausted, but there's so much guilt. No, I can push through one more day. So I want to know from you, Siddharth, like while you're talking about the importance of taking this break, I'm sure this is also something you've learned on your own. And have there been days where it was difficult for you to take that break? And how did this understanding set in that yes, I am allowed to take break and I can also like balance other aspects of my life with my work?
So honestly, my mental health journey has been quite like I take it to be something that is quite amazing,
Hmm.
because in
Hmm.
hindsight, when I go back and see, and I was like, okay, that was quite stupid of me to do.
Hmm.
Uh, so yes, I think I reached that point where I had just like stopped functioning as a I'm a marketer. I need to be creative on a daily basis.
Hmm. Hmm.
um, as a co-founder, I'm selling every day. As a co-founder, I am always involved in strategic activities with the company. And being a marketing agency, you need to be really creative.
Hmm.
And I reached that point where I would sit in a meeting and I would have nothing to add. So
Hmm.
though I was physically present in the office or in the
Yeah.
meeting, I
Yeah.
was not adding any value.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's when I started realizing that what is the point of me just physically being in office, because clearly
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, clearly
Hmm.
I'm adding zero value to this.
Hmm. Hmm.
And at the same time, I'm still like beating myself up for not being able to come up with that innovative thought or that creative thought,
Hmm. Hmm.
because again, you're at work, you're supposed to be producing something
Yeah.
creative
Yeah.
or something efficient,
Hmm.
which was not happening. So I reached that point where for me going to office was just not making sense anymore, which is like
Hmm.
literally the last day. Because
Yeah.
I think after this, if I mean, I do consult a therapist, and my therapist said that after this, if you continue doing this, you were not very far away from like jump
Hmm.
like uh, sliding into depression, because
Yeah.
you would have started beating yourself up about not being able to be good at what you are
Hmm.
actually good at.
Yeah.
So So for me, it was that last straw where I was like, you know what, this is just not making sense to me anymore. So I just decided that, and I'm blessed to have amazing business partners. I have three other co-founders with me. We are all college friends. So I'm blessed to have them in my life, Ayush, Ayushman, and Rishikesh, who, will be very supportive of something like this, and they'll never be, look down on you that, oh, okay, if I have to take a break for my mental well-being, they'll be the first one to say that, okay, don't take 7, take 14 days.
Yeah.
And that really helped me. So yeah, I mean, for me, it was that point where I realized that, okay, I am of zero productivity in this office right now. And that's when I decided, I rather not show physical presence as well, because that's not changing anything, and it's just not helping me take a backseat to think and look at things differently and from a slow sort of perspective, because everything is moving constantly in office. You sometimes just need that time to just be by your thoughts and process them.
Definitely. Yeah. Right. And I feel, Siddharth, that's exactly the point where a lot of us start pushing ourselves more. Like you said, that there's so much self-criticism that sets in, that why am I not at my efficient best? Why am I not productive enough? Why am I not creative enough? That we start pushing ourselves more, which doesn't really take us anywhere, because then it's a vicious cycle. Because your body is clearly stressed, it's burning out, it needs that rest.
Exactly, right? Like, I mean, I wouldn't wake up with the excitement of going to work. I would reach work late because I would not be able to open my eyes in the morning. And I'm someone who's like woken up all my life at like 6:37. And I would not wake up till like 10:30, 11. And that's something that bothers me, that I'm entering office at like 12:31. I don't like doing that, because it's not like I don't like staying in office at late, but I want to start my day like when the sun is still fresh, when it's not on top of my head, like I can, I like that kind of days. So when I started realizing that, oh God, like I can't get myself to wake up for work. There's something really wrong here. Like I'm not enjoying going to work, which has never been the case. Like I'm back to going to work. Like I wake up at 7, I'm back to going at work. By 10:30 I'm in office, and I like that. And that's when I'm enjoying work, where I'm looking forward. Okay, my calendar looks like this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. When that excitement goes missing, for me, I think it's okay. Time to just maybe take a break and just not do anything.
Right. And I'm hearing you speak about this, Siddharth, and something that stayed with me was the fact that you brought in this aspect of having your co-founders as a support system, right? You also mentioned speaking with your therapist. And again, like going back to the larger theme we are looking at, which is of men's mental health, when it comes to sharing and speaking up, right? That's where the biggest barrier of the stereotypes and the stigma that stops us comes up, right? That, okay, do men actually speak about what's bothering them? So that's my next question to you, that when you think of the word support system, right? Like, does anything come up in your mind? Are there any go-to people that you have in your life where you know that I have this space and I can speak about what's bothering me? Because sometimes you need a third person's perspective, someone who's removed from the situation to be able to tell you as it is or help you out through a particular challenge. So do you have support systems like that in place?
So like I said, I mean, I'm blessed and fortunate enough to work with the best of my friends. We've been through college journey. So it's very easy to open up to them, and it could be about anything. It could be my personal life, it could be my professional life, and professional life, they also understand where I'm coming from because they are part of it themselves. Apart from that, yes, like I said, I have a therapist. I've gone through my fair bit of personal issues in life, for which I realized really late that I should have been consulting a therapist long before I actually started doing it. So yes, I do have that support system now, and honestly, the support system and the fact that I'm so open about mental well-being has happened in the last 1 year to me. I was not very comfortable sharing my emotions with people, but when I went through this last patch of mine where I was really not doing well mentally, when I came out of it, I really thought that what, had I spoken about this a lot more to the people that are around me, I would have been in a much better place. So
Yeah.
I actually started advocating people
Mm.
speaking about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I speak to anyone who's a colleague of mine in office that you all
Mm.
should definitely speak about such things. Find someone who you're
Mm.
okay sharing things with. I have
Yeah.
gone and spoken on Instagram about my last patch that I had. I've been through dreadful patches where
Mm.
I had major anxiety issues. I
Mm.
used to I stay alone, so I used to call up in one corner of my house and cry
Mm.
for hours, not sleep through nights.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so to get out of it, it was obviously me starting to talk to people, me having a therapist that helped me through that whole journey, and obviously I realized that one thing that really gets my confidence back is me feeling physically fit about myself. So I just threw
Yeah.
myself in the gym,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I lost considerable amount of weight again, which I put on after COVID,
Yeah.
and I lost 9 kgs in 4 weeks, and it
Mm.
was a complete transformation in the way I was feeling about myself, in the way I was interacting with people.
Mm.
Literally everyone that I met after this sort of both mental and physical transformation, everyone was like, "You're a different person. You look so happy." And that's when I started realizing that they didn't know what had happened. So I've actually
Mm.
gone on speaking about what actually I went through during that time on my Instagram, and I've specifically said that it's a call out to all the men out there that speak about your issues. बचपन से हमें बोला जाता है मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता है.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been made popular, popular through movie culture and everything. But
Yeah.
मर्द को दर्द होता है, and it is okay to
Yeah.
say there is nothing wrong in accepting that you're feeling a certain amount of pain, and it
Yeah.
could be due to emotional stress, it could be through professional stress, it could be anything in life.
Yeah.
Talk about it, because
Mm.
trying to process it by yourself is not advisable, and it's not feasible as well. If we are
Mm.
human beings, we are a social being, right?
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
is the point of having a social circle if you can't speak to them?
Right. Yeah.
So I really feel that this notion of mard ko dard nahi hota hai needs to be now broken down,
Mm.
and
Mm.
people need to be more open about it's okay if a guy is going through his own kind of shit. It
Yeah.
is okay to talk about it, and it is okay if a guy starts crying. I love it when I cry. On the days I cry, I know I'm letting it all out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm very open about it.
Yeah.
I have no I'm not gonna hide in one corner and cry. If I
Yeah.
feel like crying in front of someone, I will cry.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
if someone's not comfortable with it, then I don't think so they're the right people to have in my circle,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they don't understand, that at the end of the day we are all human beings. Whether you are a girl, you're a boy, or if you are any other gender, it
Mm.
doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Pain is pain, and everybody feels it. So that's pretty much what I feel
Mm.
needs to be done about this. Speak about it. Identify your support system. We all have. You have
Mm.
siblings. You have you know parents, you have friends, and maybe what I do is I know there are certain things that I can't speak to my mother about. I'll speak to my sister about it. There are certain things I can't speak to my family about. I'll speak to my friends about it.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
it's not necessary that there's that one agony aunt that you
Mm.
need to find. You can have set of different people who can
Mm.
help you
Mm.
through different things or different parts of your life.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's very important, and I mean honestly, I know affording a therapist is not that cheap, but if
Mm.
you can, you should all. I suggest having a therapist on retainer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can pick up the call and just
Mm. Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
It's important. So if you can, definitely do that. Have
Mm.
someone who knows you, right? Start that journey with a therapist, because they will help you through a lot of things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's also important to when you have abundance of happiness, also it's important to share that with someone who can give you some sort of semblance and center you,
Yeah.
because too much of anything, whether good or bad, is not good. And
Yeah.
I've learned that the hard way, so I don't want so that's why I like to be centered every time there's anything of
Mm.
too much of anything happening in my life.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, and like just drawing from the last thing you said, Siddharth, I think that's so important that we always associate sharing with when you're not feeling okay. But even moments where like maybe something good has happened, and of course as a way of centering yourself, but also as a way of savoring that experience, right? Sharing doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be breaking down in front of someone. And I think we can talk all about encouraging men to speak, but it really helps for a man to be able to share a story and say that I've done that, so you that do that too. And I think it serves that purpose when you speak about your experiences, when you speak about the fact that it's not something that you were born with. In fact, that's, I think, the curse that we are born with, that we are not surrounded by people or by a society that will teach us any better. So most of the onus of learning this comes on us. And I can clearly see that a lot of things that you may have grown up with, you are willing to unlearn that, and you have already unlearned that, and you're moving forward.
Yeah.
So, congratulations on that journey also. Like it feels really good for people to be able to speak about their mental health openly and also talk about their accomplishments and what they have been able to do over the course of their life.
Thank you so much. I mean, honestly, when this had come up, I was always like, I would
Yeah,
love to do this, is because I think people need to start being more vocal.
yeah, yeah.
That's the only way this, sort of, it's been sort of
Mm-hmm.
embedded in us since ages
Mm-hmm.
now, that it's
Yeah.
not okay for a guy to ask for help, or it's not
Mm-hmm.
okay for them to like cry. So the more the amount of people that talk about their journey, the more stories that are out there will only inspire more people to come out and like maybe
For
find
sure.
help, seek help, or even talk about their experiences. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure, I always believe in one thing, is that there's the maximum amount of learning comes from each other's experience, not from a book or from
For
anything
sure.
else. Only when you really see it, either happen to you, or you hear the experience from someone who's experienced it themselves, will you actually be able to believe in it truly.
Yeah, for sure. Right, and yeah, like you said, I feel being vocal about these things has a domino effect. So I hope that this encourages other men to also speak, right? Like because just like urging people to speak and maybe seeing a post on Instagram that's asking people to speak up is not going to help. Like you said, we
Yeah.
as human beings we mirror others, right? Like we look at someone else doing that and we see, oh, that's safe for them to do that. It must be safe for me to do that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope more men speak about it. More men get the kind of support that you also got, right? Like a lot of
Yeah.
it also has to do with accessibility. So that's also something I hope for men to be able to access
Yeah.
the kind of help that they deserve. And yeah, overall, like thanks a lot for being a part of this. Any other words like for maybe your employees or a founders or something that you maybe give them as a reminder, like every time you were thinking of mental well-being, how you would want them to show up in a way that they also take care of themselves, something on those lines. Do you have for
So,
them?
I mean, this is one thing that, like, I've always said it to everyone at my company. And I mean, I've said it during one of the mood space sessions also that happened in my office, that, don't be afraid to, like, talk about what you're feeling. And if you feel comfortable enough, feel free to walk into my cabin and speak about whatever it is that you are, going through, and I'll be more than happy to listen to you. And if I can add my two bit to it, I definitely will. But don't keep things within you, because that's only a recipe for disaster, because you start imploding, because there's just too much pressure mentally, emotionally, and it really breaks you down and gets you to a point where you make irrational choices in life, and that's something that you don't want to do.
For sure.
So, like, always, like, as a co-founder, and to all the co-founders out there, keep that door open, not only for work conversations, but also for conversations that are personal, also for conversations that can probably inspire someone in their mental well-being journey, because I know all my peer co-founders are inspiring people on a daily basis when it comes to work. But I think it's time that we start inspiring people, about just taking care of themselves and their mental well-being.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And I'm so glad, Siddharth, that you're setting that sort of example as a leader, right? Like as a leader, it helps to take that lead and create that space before expecting people to reach out on their own. And it sounds like you're doing you're written the same. And yes, like you said, it's never sustainable to keep it to yourself, right? And another point you mentioned a while back was that, of course, as human beings, you're not wired to do it all alone. We are wired to seek support, to seek help, to do it with people. And I hope men are also able to lean on other men and other people in general, any kind of support system that they have around them, to be able to help themselves and take care. All right, thanks a lot, Siddharth. I think like I got a lot of understanding of what your journey has been, and apart from that, like in general, like getting it from the horse's mouth, right? Like we can make all the assumptions of what men go through, but it always helps to
Yeah.
like speak to the person who's going through that. So it's very
Yeah.
enlightening for me also, because I'll be honest, as a therapist, most of the clients I work with are also women. So to like
Yeah.
find the stories of men, I have to make an active effort to ask them questions. Like this time I'm doing it in
Yeah.
a more formal manner, but I try and do that in my life, like in whatever capacity I can.
Yeah.
And there's always something new that I get to know. And there's always some assumption that breaks in my head. And I'm like, wow, I was holding this stereotype. Like I should start speaking more about it too, man. So
Yeah.
thanks a lot for that as well. And yeah, that's pretty
No.
much it from my end. Thanks a lot for giving us your time and
It
being a
was
part.
my pleasure. Absolutely loved having this conversation with you. And I hope whatever I said, ends up adding value to someone's life at some
For
point,
sure.
and make them more vocal about,
Yeah.
getting out there and speaking about such things, or like seeking help in the time of need.
Yeah.
That's all that we can do, having walked this journey.
Yeah.
Just one message to all the guys out there: most of you suffer through a lot of heartbreak. It's just a part of life. If you speak to people, it will just be okay. Don't let that take a toll on your work, because most of these guys go through it and they don't want to talk about it because they
Yeah.
think that, oh, what will the society think about it, that, oh, he got dumped by XYZ.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gets dumped.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. Your superstars and people you idolize, they have all gone through this journey. Uh, so so it's okay. Just talk. That's all that I can say.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Siddharth. I hope this message reaches people. This reaches your employees. It also reaches other people and it encourages them. All right, so that's
Definitely.
that. Thank you for giving me the
Thank you
time.
so much.
I hope you have a good evening ahead and then a good
You too.
weekend following that. Thanks a lot,
Same.
Siddharth.
Same to you. Thank you so much.